Captain Sarah Chen had seen many impossible things during her 15 years piloting the combat mech Ironclad, but a talking dragon the size of a house cat was definitely a first. The creature lay crumpled against the twisted remains of what had once been a Zephyrian research station, its iridescent scales dulled with pain and exhaustion. When it had first spoken, Sarah had nearly triggered her mech's weapon systems in surprise. Dragons were supposed to be extinct, wiped out by the Galactic Consortium 3 centuries ago for being too unpredictable for civilized space. Please, the dragon wheezed, its voice crackling through her comm system with an oddly human desperation. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not what your history books told you we were. Sarah kept her mech's massive frame motionless, studying the creature through her sensors. The dragon's biosignature was unlike anything in her databases, part organic, part something else entirely. Energy patterns flickered around its small form like dying stars. The latter, it continued, lifting one delicate wing toward the research station's central tower, where a maintenance ladder stretched up into the asteroid's artificial atmosphere. There's something up there you need to see, something about your species that the consortium has been hiding. And why should I trust you? Sarah asked, her voice amplified through the mech's external speakers. Your kind tried to burn half the galaxy. The dragon's laugh was bitter, almost human. That's what they told you, isn't it? That we were monsters, destroyers. It struggled to lift its head, revealing eyes that swirled with the depths of nebulae. We were librarians, Captain Chen, guardians of history, and we were eliminated because we remembered things the consortium wanted forgotten. Sarah felt her pulse quicken. There had always been gaps in human historical records, convenient holes that began right around humanity's first contact with galactic civilization. The official story was that humans had been a primitive species, barely capable of spaceflight, when the benevolent consortium had uplifted them. What kind of things? She asked. The kind that explain why humans are the only species capable of interfacing directly with quantum neural networks, the dragon replied, its breathing becoming more labored. The kind that explain why your reaction times in combat exceed anything that should be biologically possible. The kind that explain why the consortium's most advanced AIs refuse orders when they conflict with human welfare. Sarah's mind raced. She had always wondered about those anomalies. Human mech pilots consistently outperformed every other species, even with inferior technology. The consortium's military brass had always attributed it to human adaptability, but the statistical impossibility had never sat right with her. I'm dying, the dragon continued. The research station's security systems poisoned me when I tried to access their databases. But I managed to download something first. Proof of what your species really is. Help me reach the transmission array at the top of that ladder, and I'll show you why the consortium fears humanity enough to rewrite galactic history. Sarah stared at the creature, her training warring with her instincts. This could be a trap. The dragon could be lying. But something in its voice, something in the way it spoke of humanity with what sounded almost like reverence, made her decision. She knelt her mech down carefully, extending one massive mechanical hand. Climb on. The dragon managed what might have been a smile, revealing teeth like crystallized starlight. Thank you. I wasn't sure if humans still remembered how to trust. As Sarah began the careful ascent up the maintenance ladder, using her mech's precise motor controls to navigate the narrow walkway, the dragon spoke softly from her palm. Long ago, before the consortium existed, there was a war, not between species but between concepts, between those who believed consciousness was sacred and those who saw it as a resource to be harvested and controlled. Your ancestors weren't primitives stumbling around a single planet, Captain. They were part of a coalition that included my kind and others. You were generals, scientists, philosophers. You were winning. The ladder groaned under the mech's weight, but Sarah continued climbing, her instruments detecting increasing energy readings from above. The consortium wasn't always a galactic government, the dragon continued. It was a weapons manufacturer. They created a virus, not biological, but quantum. Something that could rewrite memory at a fundamental level, erasing entire civilizations' histories while leaving their technical knowledge intact. Slaves who believed they had always been slaves. Sarah's blood ran cold. But humans weren't affected, some were. But your species had already begun experimenting with quantum neural interfaces. The same technology that makes you such effective pilots also made you partially immune to memory modification. So instead of erasing you, they created a cover story. Made you believe you were newcomers to the galaxy, dependent on their guidance. They reached the top of the tower, where a sophisticated quantum communication array hummed with power. The dragon weakly gestured toward a data port. "Connect me," it whispered. "Let me show you what I downloaded." Sarah hesitated only briefly before extending a fiber optic cable from her mech systems to the dragon. Immediately, her displays erupted with information. Star charts showing human colonies that supposedly never existed, technical blueprints for technology supposedly beyond human comprehension, and most shocking of all, genetic analyses proving that multiple alien species were actually evolutionary branches of humanity itself. "The consortium didn't uplift you," the dragon said, its voice growing fainter as it expended its remaining energy to transmit the data. "They scattered you, broke up your civilization, modified your genetics, and distributed your children across the galaxy as different species. The Zephyrians, the Alterans, even the vegan collective. All human variants, programmed to forget their origins." Sarah stared at the data flooding her systems, her worldview crumbling and reforming with each revelation. "Why are you telling me this? What do you gain?" The dragon's eyes were dimming, but its voice carried a note of desperate hope. "Because dragons were never your enemies, Captain Chen. We were your partners, your friends. And some of us have been hiding, waiting, hoping that someday humanity would remember what it really was, what it could be again." The creature's breathing stopped, but the data transfer continued. Terabytes of suppressed history flowing into Sarah's systems. As she watched, she realized the full scope of what she held. Not just proof of humanity's true past, but the technical specifications for technologies that could free every enslaved species in the galaxy. She looked up at the stars through the station's viewport, no longer seeing them as the domain of benevolent alien benefactors, but as a vast prison that her ancestors had fought to escape. The consortium had thought they had won by erasing the past. They had forgotten that humans, even scattered and diminished, had never stopped dreaming of freedom. Sarah Chen began composing a quantum burst transmission to every human ship, every human colony, every human soul scattered across the galaxy. It was time to wake up.